go, prisoners.
Ready.
Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun's Gears Tactics review. Rather apt, as it's a game that is largely about hiding behind rocks and then shooting beasts with a shotgun.
Oh, come on!
For the last week, Gears Tactics has ripped through my free time like a hot chainsaw through soft locust. The combo of Gears of War and turn-based tactics shouldn't work. It feels like a collision of brawn and brain, like football jocks suddenly taking over a chess club. And yet here I am, writing my review at 2 in the morning, because one quick mission turned into yet another evening of vanishing heads with a sniper rifle. It's maybe not the deepest tactics game going, but it's the fastest moving with an aggressive drive that you just don't tend to see in the genre. And what a surprise it is. Spin-offs are so rarely good. I think it's in their DNA. You take something that works and mess with it. When Gears Tactics was announced with a shrug at E3, I thought it was marked for death, like a cog soldier with a sniper sight locked to his head. It brought to mind Halo Wars, another game that attempted to meet two fandoms halfway, Halo and RTS fans, and ended up satisfying neither. But Gears Tactics is not some hobbled hybrid, but a marriage of world and rules that kind of makes perfect sense. It's one of the best spin-offs I've ever played, in fact, and a great tactics experience in itself. So here's why.
It's your business.
There's something very satisfying in seeing Gears of War's iconic elements put through a shrinking machine, performing keyhole surgery with a chainsaw, the holographic throwing arc of a frag grenade, or just booting a ticker to send its explosive payload back into enemy territory. Gears of War often feels like roadie running around Warhammer 40k, and it makes sense that zooming out and reducing this world to miniatures is a natural fit. Set a decade before Gears 1, Gears Tactics also benefits from a nostalgic glow of classic enemy designs. It's like meeting an old friend and then impaling them on a spike. The Locusts are a neat fit for a tactical game. You've got drones and snipers forcing you into cat and mouse flanking escapades, while packs of wretches gallop across cover to flush you out or suck up your Overwatch shots. As it is in Gears, enemies are a tight mix of simple chainsaw fodder and trickier beasts with attacks of opportunity that stop you from bludgeoning your way to victory. And I'm amazed at how much it behaves like Gears of War. I mean, the enemies that give me cold sweats there serve the same role here. When a boomer or Theron guard airdrops into battle, I know that instant death is on the menu as the boom shot blows soldiers from cover and saps movement and accuracy, and the explosive torque bow scatters us to the wind. Of course, with them comes the hint of excitement that you might grab their weapons, though suckers brought the seeds of their own destruction to the party. In a way, it even feels like Gears of War 2, the close-up kill cam showing the same meaty deaths you expect from the main games. Bodies fall apart as they only do in this universe, headshots crunching like melons hit with sledgehammers, and meaty torsos breaking into weirdly solid lumps like punching a pig and seeing it explode into perfect legs of ham. This surface layer is just cute set dressing without solid tactical foundations underneath. Here, Gears Tactics changes things up from modern XCOM's popular 2 action point system. It gives you 3 moves a turn and lets you split them as you see fit. A well-positioned sniper can just pop head after head after head, or a character could leave cover to get better shooting odds and then scamper back afterwards. It's very freeing, but still clear and sharp, a pleasing middle ground between XCOM and last year's Phoenix Point, using the latter's more flexible terms, but not getting bogged down in granular step-by-step movement. A larger pool of action points fuels several cool things, but the most immediately obvious is a bigger role for Overwatch. For newcomers, Overwatch is using a turn to guard, shooting enemies as they move on their turn. Pump 3 action points into 4 squad members, and you've got a pretty devastating counterattack. I particularly like how the view cone flashes when triggered to hammer home who is doing what. Having to manually aim Overwatch is what both prevents it from being too overpowered, but also makes it so satisfying when you predict an entry point and mulch wretch after wretch. Of course, it can make certain scenarios quite easy. A simple move from A to B mission can be easily cheesed with the classic XCOM tactics of move a bit, sit in Overwatch, move a bit, sit in Overwatch. But it also allows Gears tactics to serve up horde-like battles that feel integral to the series' DNA. You face waves of reinforcements in key story missions, or take on control tasks where you have to guard 2 supply points, King of the Hill style. As you hunker down and second-guess enemy approaches, it feels unlike any other tactics game I've played, a really brilliant translation of the heroic last stand in turn-based rules. It's fab. I also love the intricate tangles Overwatch creates when enemies throw it back in your face. Enemy Overwatch also appears as directional cones, clearly showing who could eat a bullet in their next turn. To counter this, you can disrupt attacks with a pistol shot or a range of class-specific skills like the Vanguard's unnerving battle cry or the Sniper's concussive shot. If you're really lucky, you could get a gear drop that adds knockback to your main weapon, giving you a lot more options. But even with all the class options built around disruption, I take great pleasure in unpicking these death traps, especially once snipers bring laser sight headshots into the mix. Diffusing a situation like this is a deadly puzzle, as you place precise waypoints to sneak through Overwatch cracks or plan a sequence of hits to free your squad one by one. It's one element of the game that becomes more satisfying as you dial up the difficulty and take more damage. For my money, these close quarters moments are as good as anything I've tried in XCOM Chimera Squad. I've talked a lot about holding your ground, which maybe paints this as a hesitant game. It is not. What jumps out in Gears Tactics is how aggressive it is. It's far less about nervously watching your 6 and more about turning the dial to 11. It's about building momentum, stretching out your turn and piling on the pain. And you need to, because it throws huge armies at you. You often face tens of creatures coming from all angles and emergence holes threatening to puke up even more. But set against this, you have the power to inspire your squad with extreme violence. Executing a downed enemy gives everyone else a bonus action point, so you begin to set up domino rallies of curb stomping, using that bonus action to leapfrog the next soldier to the next body to return the favour. And that's before you factor in the support class, who can give extra points to a teammate and receive them back for every kill that hero makes. In fact, just about every class has a skill or two that rewards their killing with more killing opportunities. Special shout out to the Scout's Rampage that just keeps on killing until it can't. It's a bit of a generalisation, but I find the power arcs of tactics games tend to skew towards overpowered in later sections. It's definitely the case in XCOM. Here you're capable from the start, but it's counterbalanced with the sheer scale of what you're up against. It manages to be both a power fantasy as you weave together lengthy kill chains, but without feeling like a pushover. It also explains what I like about the small number of boss battles included in the game. They introduce horrendous bullet sponges with small windows of vulnerability, specifically to show you how much damage you can pour through that window while it's open. After struggling with the earlier Brumac, I could chew through the later Corpser with ease. As a showcase for Gears Tactics interlocking power boosting, they are really well done. I'd just like to see more of them if they ever make another game. So much of Gears Tactics' relentless drive hinges on well-judged character classes. Each class has a distinct weapon and core skill. The Scout can cloak to get a Nasher within usable range, for example, while the support heals the entire team with every kill they claim. They're clearly defined from the start, and it only takes a couple of skill tree unlocks before they blossom into even more distinct characters. The Heavy Gunner is one of the best takes I've ever seen on the role. Accuracy and damage stacks for every shot he takes anchored in place. I guess it's meant to mimic a minigun slowly whirring to life, but with a few skill points you add more stacks and let him heave those stacks to new locations, turning him into an unstoppable mobile turret. Juice him up with bonus actions from support, and his Overwatch can safeguard an entire squad. It's genuinely exhilarating. I could talk for half an hour about the strengths of the classes. I mean, a mini shout out to the sniper who refreshes her actions with critical hits, but a big part of the fun is discovering them for yourself. One thing that is very cool, you get rescue missions where you can take 1 or 2 units to liberate new soldiers from torture pods. Not only is there this sense of gathering fury as you add those units to your squad during the mission, but you're getting randomly generated heroes with skills and equipment you might not have. So escaping with them feels like taking a car for a test drive before deciding if you want to recruit that car into your army. Okay, the metaphor doesn't hold up, but as a sampler menu of new recruits, these missions are smart stuff.
Playtime's over. Ha! I'm good.
I mentioned equipment there. Each primary weapon has 4 replaceable parts, and your helmet, torso and leg armor also bestows stat buffs and new passive skills. So that's another layer of abilities on top of the skill tree, many of which will supercharge certain builds. Take my heavy again. Not only is he stacking damage and accuracy by standing still, his clothes increase damage after every shot, universally increases everything by 15%, and gives 20% extra Overwatch damage, which is pretty much his given stance, so not to break his anchored status. At this point, it's basically a war crime every time he touches the trigger. Admittedly, this is based on loot drops, earned as mission prizes and grabbed from these crates on the battlefield, so maybe I got lucky. Even so, whatever parts you do get, it's easy to see skills that play nice with them, even use a respec token to rebuild a character around shinier equipment. One complaint, there's such versatility in the customization that I wish it was less of a pig to navigate. This menu is the bane of my existence, and this is the age of COVID-19, so that's really saying something. You have to constantly shift up and down layers to find weapon and armor options, and you can't compare equipment side by side. It's more of a problem with armor, which is shared between all classes, resulting in scenes where you're trying to match 15 pairs of trousers to 15 different soldiers. Honestly, I'm up to my knees in trousers, where I just want them to be up to my waist. You know what I mean. It's just mad that a game with such speedy action grinds to a halt between missions like this. Perhaps customization is deliberately bungled to give the impression of a deeper game outside of missions. You see, the biggest difference between Gears Tactics and the XCOMs and the like is the lack of a strategy layer outside of turn-based battles. This is a linear tale, a fun one concerning the mad scientist behind the Locust's biggest monsters, but one that exists to serve up battle after battle. What strategy there is revolves around assigning troops to side missions. Between story missions, you're given a choice of more generic mission templates played out on procedurally generated maps. I've mentioned the King of the Hill control missions and the rescue missions. Others involve blowing up a target or fleeing a bombing run. You have to complete a number of these to trigger the next story mission, but characters can only be used once per batch, so the strategy is really no deeper than have enough recruits to survive these missions. That may be too simple for some. The design clicks for me, as I've always preferred the games that put turn-based tactics first. Mutant Year Zero, Fire Emblem, the amazing Rebel Star Tactical Command on the Game Boy Advance. I mean, that was basically Julian Gollop doing XCOM without the strategy layer. The risk with all these things is repetition setting in, but Gears Tactics gets away with it, certainly for its 25-hour campaign. Character cooldown during side missions encourages you to try new recruits, and the new tactics that come with them. It also throws in bonus wrinkles for extra loot. Getting through a mission without reloading weapons 5 times pushes you into interesting corners of your moveset, for example, while not taking damage on your turn really draws out the tension of Overwatch showdowns. These are bursts of zippy arcade logic in a genre traditionally made by nerds who would get beaten up in an arcade. It's a game that knows that its strengths lie in the chunky chaos of the battlefield, and channels all its energy into that. Whether that focus gels with your own, or justifies a hefty £50 asking price on Steam, is for you to decide.
Help you out.
Spread out! Don't give him an easy stomping target!
Personally, I love the direction and heartily recommend it on Xbox Game Pass for PC. I get nervous around most games for £50. Once Gears Tactics campaign is beat, you've got an endless run of veteran missions to grind up characters and earn loot, basically the randomly generated side missions of the campaign on a loop. I find it very Moorish and will happily grind up the loot to see what ludicrous excesses I can reach with my builds, but it does feel more like a fun bonus feature than a structured time sink you can get invested in. It's something I'd love to see addressed in a sequel, and I do hope this isn't the last we see of Gears Tactics. As mentioned before, it's quite rare to strike gold in a spin-off, but this really is a brilliant marriage of universe and genre. They've been mad not to explore it more. So I'm going to aim my Overwatch cone at the future and hope to see more like this come wandering in. It's a real treat.
Damn way to go. Load up that gear. Let's roll.
Speaking of treats, I feel like I should reward you for sticking all the way to the end of this very long video, so here's a little clip of my cat refusing to put up with my bullshit. I hope you found this Gears Tactics review helpful and informative. If there's anything that's unclear, ask away in the comments and I'll fill in the gaps. If you're looking for a different tactics game, maybe check out our review of XCOM Chimera Squad, or even better, subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun so you never miss any of our reviews and previews. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe. Bye for now.
You ready for this?